Backing's a cinch? Right. Then how come 90% of trucking incidents and crashes happen during backing maneuvers? Backing may be basic, but it sure isn't simple. Of all the maneuvers you perform, backing can be one of the most difficult, deceptively difficult. It takes patience, good judgment, and skill to back without damaging your rig or fixed objects or injuring others.
One thing you should always do when you're backing up is get out and look to make sure you're aware of the space you're going into and that there's no obstacles or problems, that you're not too close. In fact, get out and look several times in the course of the back. Backing accidents are 100% preventable, and that's the one thing that drivers seem to not want to do, is get out and walk back there and see what's behind them.
Some of the things that drivers do wrong when backing is hurrying and not taking the time to check the area before they back. Then the next thing they do wrong is they tend to guess or assume that they're not going to hit an object that they're backing in between, instead of simply stopping the truck, getting out, taking a look, and checking their position before they continue backing.
In this program, we'll talk about the basic elements of good backing technique, some common maneuvers, and some tips to help you avoid the usual errors and problems. The first thing to remember about backing is that you need to get out and look. Nothing's more important than that. Get out and look where you're backing and what you're backing up to. You also need to get out and look for any hazards as you prepare to back. The trickiest part of backing, of course, is knowing what's behind you. A qualified spotter can be helpful if your company allows it, but nothing is better than getting out and taking a look yourself. When you back, you always have a blind spot, and that blind spot changes as you move. The only way to make sure you're backing safely is to get out and look. Glance away for an instant during a back and everything changes. And all it takes is a second for something or someone to move into that space behind, and you've got trouble. When you get out of your truck, don't just check behind, check all sides of your rig. Above, below, the side, even in front. Make sure there's nothing that could get in the way of backing safely. 1 second you think you've got plenty of space, the next thing you know, you've hit a support for a power line, something that could have been avoided had you practiced the most important part of backing: get out and look. A few other things to remember. If you're backing up to a loading dock with a trailer that has cargo doors that open out, make sure they're secured in the open position. The last thing you want is to break off a trailer door as you approach the dock. And if there are other people around, let them know you're going to be backing up. If possible, have someone help by spotting you. Turn on your four-way flashers and use your backup alarm or horn to announce your intentions as well. Communication never hurts. The better communication with everyone in the vicinity, the more it's going to help. As you start to back, take your time and don't ride the clutch. All right, you've heard this before. It takes a lot less time overall to take it slow and easy and get it done right than to rush. If you hurry, all you do is cause problems that take more time and energy to fix than it would if you did it right in the first place. Keep a close eye on those mirrors. Next to getting out and taking a look, they're your only visual cue to what's going on behind you.
If available, certainly someone to assist you. Can we get someone off the dock? Can we get somebody to help assist us? Have a set of eyes out there in those blind spots that you're not going to be able to see.
Using a spotter is an excellent idea if you can get one. It's not always available, and if you can coordinate hand signals and stuff, but you have to make sure that you and the spotter are on the same page, that you speak the same language, that you have the hand signals worked out, and before you start backing up, you have to make sure that that spotter is making eye contact with you in that mirror, because he may be back on the dock doing this to somebody else, and if you follow those signals, you'll be in trouble.
Of the different backing maneuvers, straight line backing is, of course, the easiest. If you've got this one down, the other maneuvers get a whole lot easier. When going into a straight line backing situation, first plan your approach. Get your rig into position so the trailer is directly behind the tractor. Then get out and look, checking all sides of the vehicle. Make sure your mirrors are adjusted, your radio's off, and your windows down. Use your sight, use your hearing, use all your senses to help. You don't need any distractions. Back up using your lowest gear at idle speed. And take your time here. The most important part of straight line backing is recognizing and being able to correctly handle drift. If your rig starts to drift, pull forward and start over. It's better than trying to reposition and potentially oversteering. There's no shame in starting over and doing it right. If you think you look like a wimp by starting over, think about the jerk you make of yourself by screwing up. When you need to back and turn toward the driver's side, the sight side backing maneuver, you have the advantage of being able to see your trailer's path out of your left mirror. However, there is a large area you cannot see. That's the area to the right of your rig. Like straight line backing, you need to plan and set up your approach, then get out and look. The difference, however, is that you are turning and backing at the same time, a combination of basic movements known as jacking and chasing. Jacking is when you change the direction of the trailer by steering in the opposite direction. If you want that trailer to jack to the right, then turn the steering wheel to the left. Once the trailer is jacked onto the path you want, steer your tractor just enough to follow the path of the trailer. This is called chasing. If the trailer drifts off path, just turn the steering wheel in the direction of the drift to correct the trailer's path. Because you can see toward the back of your trailer from your driver's side mirror in sight side backing, you usually have a pretty good view of what you're doing. Do keep a close eye on both mirrors. However, just because you can't see as much out of the passenger side mirror isn't reason to ignore it. Watch your rear wheels carefully. If you miss your turning point, pull ahead and start over. Be careful not to jack at more than a 90-degree angle. You could tear your lines off or damage the cab if it hits the corner of the trailer.
To complete a successful backing maneuver, the first thing a driver needs to do is to get out and look and to pay attention closely in his mirrors while backing.
When you come up to a situation knowing you have to back into an area, have a good plan. Know your surroundings. Know the space that you have.
Backing into an alley dock takes the skills of both the straight line and sight side backing maneuvers. Get into position. In sight side backing, it's important to make sure you get your trailer at the correct angle and in position to start backing. Then get out to check the area. If there's not enough room to open your doors once you're in the alley, open them before you start backing in. But make sure they're secure and won't swing while you back. Patience is always key. You can't be too careful. Constantly check your clearance on all sides and look for anything that could enter your path, such as vehicles, pedestrians, alley cats, whatever. Keep an eye out. Anytime you have trouble seeing due to low light conditions, set a flashlight or two on the dock to help guide you. Now, backing to the right side of your vehicle, or blind side backing, is probably the most difficult and least desirable backing maneuver. Your blind spot is larger here than with any other backing maneuver. If you can, avoid blind side backing. If possible, use a qualified, and I do mean qualified, spotter. You're going to need somebody to see what you can, and there will be plenty you can't see. Always make sure you and your spotter agree on hand signals in advance. Position your spotter where you can see him or her and where the spotter has a clear view of your vehicle's path. Even with a qualified spotter, remember that the responsibility to get out, look, and back up safely is on your shoulders, not the person who's helping you. No matter how qualified the spotter, that still doesn't make them responsible. You are. Make a plan and get your rig into position. Visualize your moves. If you're going to be jacking, make sure your lines between the tractor and trailer are long enough to handle the turn. Take your time. Get out every few feet if you have to. Patience will help you do it safely. When you do have problems, pull up and try again. Doing it over is better than making a serious mistake.
Blindside backing is the least desirable maneuver because you lose sight of your trailer when you're blindside backing, and you're more apt to hit something.
Don't blindside back unless it's absolutely positively necessary. Can we go around the block? That block is 3, 4, or 5 blocks long and set up on our sight side, on our good side. Can we go to the other end of the parking lot and turn around?
Blindside backing, the safest way to do it is with help.
One of the most common errors when backing is overcompensating for drift to the right or left by oversteering. If you find your trailer drifting too far, pull ahead and start over. If you keep trying to compensate for drift, you'll just find yourself in more of a mess than what you started with. Another common problem for a lot of drivers is that when they do start to drift, they tend to forget where other objects are and run into them. The best thing you can do, and I can't stress this enough, is get out and look. Even if you're getting out every few feet to look, because you can't see the area you're backing into clearly. Even if you have a qualified spotter, get out and look if you have any doubt whatsoever. The better you know the area you're backing into, the less frustration, paperwork, and downtime you'll have from paying for a mistake you didn't need to make. Good backing techniques are critical to you and everyone around you. Take your time, use your mirrors, get out and look, drive your own trip. What's wrong with this picture? It looks like that back was executed perfectly and the driver did everything right. Of course, he's going to get to do it all right again when he gets out of his cab, walks to the back of his rig, and realizes he failed to open his trailer doors.